Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Zad Academy course summaries. I am just absolutely thrilled to have you here today. Before we jump in, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, drop a like, leave a comment, and share this with your friends. Today, we're diving into the life of the absolute most beloved creation to Allah, Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Oh, and real quick, if you prefer, we've got Arabic subtitles running right at the bottom of your screen so you can follow along perfectly. You know, Sheikh Assim Al-Hakeem put it so beautifully. He said one of the most fragrant things you can scent your breath with is the remembrance of the Prophet and the study of his biography. So grab a coffee, get comfortable, and let's cure our ignorance with some beautiful knowledge.
All right, let's jump right into this explainer. We're going to break this monumental biography down into 5 distinct phases. Phase 1, before the revelation. Phase 2, hardship and the migrations. Phase 3, establishing the Medinan state. Phase 4, expansion and foreign relations. And finally, Phase 5, where we extract the practical lessons of the Seerah for your actual day-to-day life.
So, starting things off with Phase 1, before the revelation.
Look, to truly appreciate the message, you first have to understand the man who actually delivered it, right? We need to look at exactly when and how he was born, and what his pristine, incredibly pure life looked like long before the massive weight of prophethood was placed on his shoulders. A huge crowning moment of this early period? His blessed marriage to Khadijah, the mother of the believers, literally the leader of the women of the worlds. Understanding this pure, solid foundation really just sets the stage for everything that comes next.
Moving right along to Phase 2, hardship and the migrations.
So the early call to Islam in Mecca was split into 2 completely different periods. At first, you had the secret dawah. This was a time of quiet, very calculated growth, just to build up a core group of believers. But then, by divine command, everything shifted to public dawah, and wow, that public proclamation changed the dynamics entirely. It pulled the community out of quiet worship and pushed them right into the crosshairs of intense, open hostility.
And that hostility, it led straight to severe, brutal oppression. To escape it, the Prophet and his companions had to make some unimaginably difficult choices. I mean, they didn't just migrate once. First, they sought safety all the way in Abyssinia, and then actually returned for a second migration under its just king. Ultimately, this intense period of sacrifice culminated in the blessed Hijrah to Medina, a pivotal, literal, game-changing moment in human history.
But before we leave the Meccan period, we really have to ask ourselves, why did this extreme persecution even happen? This powerful Quranic verse hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures the singular reason behind all that brutal torture they endured. You know, they weren't fighting for land or wealth or tribal dominance. No. They were resented and oppressed for one reason and one reason only: their unyielding belief in Allah, the exalted in might, the praiseworthy.
Now we hit Phase 3, establishing the Medina state.
Okay, so here's the thing. Arriving in Medina didn't just magically end their struggles. Actually, the challenges just got way more complex. The Prophet, peace be upon him, had to brilliantly navigate intense hostility from multiple fronts all at once. You had the external threat of the Meccan polytheists, the hidden internal dangers of the hypocrites, and then broken treaties with various Jewish tribes, specifically Banu Qaynuqa, Banu Nadir, and Banu Qurayza. I mean, it was an absolute masterclass in leadership and statecraft under the most immense pressure imaginable. These specific years were defined by major defensive battles that were basically existential tests for the survival of the believers. We're talking about the miraculous, incredible victory at Badr, the deeply educational and painful setbacks at Uhud, and that absolute genius defensive strategy during the siege of Khandaq, also known as the Trench. Every single one of these events is just packed with strategic wisdom and profound tests of faith.
Which brings us to Phase 4, expansion and foreign relations.
Following those earlier defensive battles, the Islamic State was finally secure enough to launch into some really critical campaigns. The conquest of Khyber, the fierce encounter at Mu'tah, and the massive mobilization for Tabuk. These events completely solidified the presence, the credibility, and the sheer strength of the Islamic State across the entire Arabian region, and honestly, even beyond. But, you know, it wasn't all just military campaigns. This era brought some absolutely monumental global and legislative milestones too. During the Year of Delegations, tribes literally came voluntarily just to accept Islam. And we see the Prophet's global reach expanding through official letters sent out to world leaders, the kings and presidents of that era. Simultaneously, vital, everyday Islamic legislation was coming down. And a really important note here. This is the phase where we dive deep into the specific divine wisdom and the immense benefits behind the Prophet's plural marriages, which really clears up any misconceptions you might hear.
And finally, we reach Phase 5, Lessons of the Seerah.
So, we've gone through the history, right? But now we have to ask the most important question. Why does all this matter to you and your daily life right now? Well, as Sheikh Assim Al-Hakeem profoundly explains, this material is vital for our actual lives before it's ever vital for just academic knowledge. Tasting the Seerah isn't just a history lesson. It completely revolutionizes who you are. When you truly deeply understand what the Prophet went through, your salah, your prayer, it just feels different. Your siyam, your fasting, is elevated. Your entire worship to Allah is enriched. And most importantly, learning all these details multiplies the love for the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, exponentially in your heart.
And that love, it has a beautiful, beautiful purpose. The true ultimate fruit of studying his life and cultivating this profound love is that Allah might grant you the ultimate reward. And what's that? His companionship in the gardens of bliss, Jannat al-Na'im. Honestly, that is the true success of studying this Seerah.
So, I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought. Has your salah been transformed by the Seerah yet? Have you actually tasted that sweetness? Don't let the journey stop here. Continue to transform your worship and cure your ignorance by enrolling in the official Zad Academy curriculum today to explore all 5 of these phases in absolute depth. Jazakumullahu khairan for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you in the next one.